afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a Tuesday edition of Middays with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We are powered by our wonderful friends over at Tri-X 57 in the friendly confines of Tri-X 57 on this late May 27th, 2025. Hope everyone, first and foremost, had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And as always, hopefully you guys were safe. You were sound. You were maybe barbecuing a little bit. Maybe you were playing some cards, maybe a little dominoes. Maybe you were gambling a little bit. The barbecue pit was going. You had a couple of cold ones. And of course, you remember why this holiday and the day was created, to always give thanks to all the servicemen and women out there. And with that, it was indeed another busy weekend in the world of sports. And let me just start by saying this. As much as I might have came on the air, and I believe it was, was it Friday? Perhaps. It could have been Friday. And we know I was getting a little, I don't want to say ornery. I think I was getting a little nervous about the New York Knicks. They choked up the lead in game one. They couldn't close it out in game number two. And again, if you guys hung in there with me, you know exactly what I said. I turned around and I was waxing poetic that at the end of the day, this team was going to get swept. This team was going to get swept. And I felt that way. I really did. I was nervous. I was, I guess you can say, a negative Nelly. I was distraught. And then the Knicks came back from the dead. And guess what? I mean, as soon as they start to, pull me out, I'm back in. I mean, think about this. They were left for dead. They resurrected themselves on the road. Game 3, Indiana, Brunson in foul trouble. Cat struggling early on. Hart trying to find his shot. OG trying to get in rhythm. Robinson gets to start. And the Knicks came through big time. They came through big time, and I got to give them a substantial amount of credit. I really do. I have to give them a boatload of credit because I really thought that this series was done. I really did. Anytime you lose the types of games that they lost in a series like this, more times than not, you're probably not going to come back from that. You're probably not coming back from that. But they showed heart. They showed resiliency. And ultimately, Thibodeau pushed all the right buttons. And Karl Anthony Towns, had a wonderful game. He played exceptionally well. He got hot when he needed to get hot. Do I like the fact that he's always chucking up three-point shots? No. Do I like the fact that sometimes he's not turning around and he's not, his back to the basket? No, I don't like any of that kind of nonsense. It bugs the hell out of me, to be quite honest with you. But again, the team was left for dead. And now we have a series. Now we have a series in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's all I was hoping for. That's all I was hoping for. I mean, you can't say that in the Western Conference Finals right now. OKC commanding 3-1 series lead over the Timberwolves, Western Conference Final, a tough 128-126 Game 4 win. That series is not competitive. It's not. And I don't know if Indiana or the Knicks can beat OKC. I don't know, but that's not what I'm worried about right now. That's not what I'm thinking about at this moment. I'm thinking about the Knicks tonight with an opportunity to really upset the apple cart. Really upset the apple cart and get another win and even up this series at 2 games apiece. And it's not going to be easy, but we've learned in the NBA, we've learned throughout these NBA playoffs, and we know about the sport of basketball, everything is predicated on runs. It is a make or miss league, and ultimately everything is predicated on runs. You know it, and I know it. And I think they're going to have their hands full. I think they're going to have their hands full tonight. And listen, if they can get out of there unscathed, if they can figure out a way to get a game 4 win and you've taken back home court advantage, beautiful. After just 2 horrible losses that would make any Knick fan absolutely just go batty. I mean, that's what I felt. That's what I felt. I'm watching this series unfold, and the other night, listen, and I know during the broadcast, they talked about Karl Anthony Towns. He was putting the ball on the floor. He's being very assertive. This is when Jalen Brunson, the best player in the series, mind you, okay, the best player in the series, was in foul trouble again. And Siakam, who lit the Knicks up for 39 in game 2, a little more quiet in game 3. Halliburton, a little more quiet. Obviously, we don't know about the status of Nesmith tonight, dealing with that ankle injury. Right now, the line's sitting 2.5. I mean, that's open. It'll close right around 2.5. 200 or 220, I should say, 220.5 juiced over is the total. And, again, I don't think the Knicks are built to run up and down the floor with the Indiana Pacers. I don't think they can run up and down the floor with the Indiana Pacers. I don't. I think if they do that, they will get blown out of the building. And you can't rely on, Mitchell Robinson to give you anything offensively when he's there to rebound and defensive purposes, and you're going to burn through some fouls. Jalen Brunson has to stay out of foul trouble. Josh Hart has to stay out of foul trouble. OG's got to get going early on. And at this point, home court advantage means nothing. It means nothing. Home court advantage at this point means absolutely nothing. I mean, it's just like I said. I can tell you that it does, but it doesn't. I can tell you that home court advantage throughout, the last 20, 25 years in the NBA playoffs, pardon me, has meant something of substance, but it hasn't. It hasn't meant anything of substance. It really hasn't. If you can go out and you can beat a team, if you can turn around and you can get a win on the road, then, you have an opportunity to steal a series. And that's all some of these teams are really thinking about. That's all so many teams are trying to do. It's so hard to win in the playoffs. It's so hard. You're talking about Denver. Denver, would they lose the first 2 in the semis? And then they came back and they pushed it to 7. Now they lost the game 7 at home to a really good team. But ultimately, like I said, I can tell you this. I don't feel secure with any type of lead. I don't feel safe with any type of lead if I'm Indiana or if I'm the New York Knicks. You need to go out and you need to basically put your foot on the gas. You cannot let up at all. You can't. You can't let up at all. First of all, you got to get to the NBA Finals. I'm not too concerned about OKC right now. And OKC looks like a juggernaut. They look like an absolute juggernaut. It's a well-balanced team. You got the MVP who just went nuts last night. I know everyone was getting on Doris Burke for some of her comments here and there. I mean, listen, the kid gets to the line. What more do you want? I'm not going to have a problem with that. The kid figures out a way to get to the line. And he's a really good player. He's an exceptional player. And that's, listen, these series, the way these series shake out, you win a game on the road, anything could happen. Anything can happen. 4:00 straight up on a Tuesday. Vince chimes in. Doesn't look like it will matter which Eastern team wins. OKC looks unbeatable in a 7-game series. Yeah, it could be the case. They look like a juggernaut right now. They look like a juggernaut. No one's disputing how good they are, but that's why you play the game, right? That's why you play the game. And right now, if you really think about it, some of these teams, especially like an OKC, you don't want that series to be prolonged. You want that series to end. The longer the series goes, the more inclined maybe you have to deal with a potential injury. Now, the Knicks typically set up their defense deep in their zone. And I think that's got to be the key tonight. Like you got to face guard. You can't let Siakam go get off early. Halliburton get off. McConnell coming off the bench with 12, 13 points. Creating his shot. He's like a little barbecue gnat. They don't know how to stop him. So you got to think about the tempo. You've got to think about defense. Don't settle for too many jump shots. Don't settle for all these outside perimeter shots. And here's the other thing. Indiana, they know how to pressure the ball. They know how to hand check. They know how to defensively man up. They know how to guard the perimeter. Where Indiana, you can beat Indiana as if you win the battle on the boards. And the Knicks were able to kind of limit Indiana's second chance points when they were making that comeback. This is a team right now in the Knicks. They have come back from 3 games of 20 or more point deficits in the playoffs. And 2 of those games were against the defending NBA champs. So that speaks a little bit about their moxie, their heart, and their character. And that's one of the reasons I think that if they do win tonight, they have a legit shot at winning this series. I mean, even if they lose tonight and you get into that game 5 scenario and you win that, anything could happen to potentially in a game 6 or a game 7. And that's why you have to just go out and you got to take care of business tonight. I mean, Brunson has to stay out of foul trouble. Cat has to stay out of foul trouble. The other thing is Thibodeau went to the bench and used seldom, guys that were seldomly used. And they didn't give you a ton of offense. But what they did is they gave other guys who were in foul trouble a breather. So he did push those right buttons. We'll get your thoughts on the NBA playoffs, as I mentioned. I wanted to throw this out there today. When you think about this right now, who is the face of the NBA right now? Who's the face of the NBA? Like, what player is the face of the NBA? Because I think in different sports, we have an idea of who that player is. NBA, a little different. It's a little different. Is it, I don't know, SGA? Is it Giannis? Is it Wembley? Is it Anthony Edwards? He seems to be that hot topic, that hot button right now. The issue of who the face of the NBA is at this moment. Everyone has their own, their own idea. And I think still, it's not the Steph Currys of the world. It's not LeBron James. It's not Embiid. It's not Brunson. I mean, I think it's a younger player, but I'm talking about right now. Who is it? Right now, who's the face of the NBA? And I feel as though everyone's looking at a guy like Anthony Edwards, who's a great player. Is it Ja? Right? I mean, I can see already Knicks fans are saying, how can you dismiss Jalen Brunson? Well, again, it's to me, when I say the face of the NBA, it's a term. It's a term used to describe who is the most recognizable and marketable face/player right now in the NBA. You went through the line. It changes, decade to decade, doesn't it? It changes decade to decade. I mean, you don't need a face of the NBA, a player. They're not going to last one season. They're not going to last just one season or 2 seasons. I'm not talking about like a burst, like a Linsanity. That's hype. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about right now, the face of the NBA. And if you go back, if you really think about it, in the 1980s, the face of the NBA, multiple players. It was Magic and it was Bird. And then as you get to the late 80s into the 90s, Jordan ruled that decade. But I also think when you go to 2000, people will sit there and say, well, you had Shaq, you had Duncan, you had Iverson, you had Kevin Garnett. We going to throw Kobe? How about Kobe Bryant? And then you had the 2010s, and everyone will say Curry and LeBron. And now, okay, here we go. Is it Joker? Is it Tatum? Is it Luca? Is it still LeBron? Is it Anthony Edwards? Is it some of these other young players that I just mentioned? I think it's very, very subjective. I think it's the way, again, you look at it, and everyone has their own, I guess everyone has their own definition of who they think is the face of a league or the face of the NBA. In football, the argument for a lot of years, we look at a guy like who? Patrick Mahomes. For years, it was Tom Brady. And now it's kind of like almost the changing of the guard in the NBA. It really is. It's the changing of the guard because it is a young man's game right now, and you're seeing an influx of young players that are trying to make a statement, and they're trying to brand themselves, and they are trying to market themselves, and it's tough to do. It's really tough to do. I mean, SGA, you saw that the OKC Thunder, they were ascending. They were trending up, and a lot of people thought that, hey, this is they're going to surprise people. They're going to surprise people, and they're going to make some noise come playoff time. And obviously, they had an outstanding season, and that's where we're at right now. And it's okay when you look at some of the players that I mentioned. It's okay to debate some of these players. But I think some of the older guys that have been around the block that have had their moment, they're not that guy anymore. The league wants to hang their hat. You're talking about on the court performance first and foremost. You're talking about markability. You're talking about overall performance, endorsements. Do they have charm? Do they have charisma? Do they have personality? Do they have that global appeal? Right? That's all we hear. Global appeal. Who's got the global appeal of some of these players that I'm talking about? Is it a Luca, an Edwards, a Victor, a Tatum? Is it an SGA? Because the league's trying to find their next great player. That's what they're looking at. They're trying to find their next great player, the face of the league. They're trying to hang their hat on something. They're trying to hang their hat on something. Min chimes in, Anthony Edwards should be, but he's too unpredictable and uncontrollable. Remember a couple years, everyone was thinking it was Ja Morant. Remember that? My guy Jovan checks in. I don't think there's a singular face. It's a collection of guys. Ant, Luca, Wemby, Tatum. It should have been guys like Zion or Ja. I mean, think about that. That's a great point, Jovan. That's a great point. Remember all the buzz when Zion, was coming out? Remember all the buzz with Ja Morant, and then Ja Morant had the issues with the IG post and the guns and this and that, and then Zion couldn't stay healthy. Zion Williamson, he was too overweight. He was banged up. He was getting hurt. I mean, this kid's only 24 years old. He's 24 years old, and all of a sudden everyone's writing off his career. They're already writing this kid's off career, which is crazy. Why? Because he came into the league so young. He was 19. He didn't play for one season. He missed an entire season. And I mean, his 26, 22, and 24, that's not bad. In 3 straight seasons, right? That's not bad. I think the NBA is trying to hang their hat on the next face. And that's why I thought these playoffs were interesting because, Tatum, Brown, Brunson, Cat, Joker, right? Curry. You've got some Hall of Fame players or guys that are going to ascend to those ranks. Brunson, it might become a Hall of Fame player. I mean, they're already talking about Brunson being the greatest Knick of all time. One of the greatest, trades acquisitions in NBA history and franchise history. Cooper Flagg could be the next great player. League was streaming his AAU games when he was still in high school. Man, I'll tell you, I feel as though with Cooper Flagg, and I'm going to be careful how I word this. I think the kid's going to be a player. I do. I think this kid is going to be a player. I feel as though there's this sentiment out there that maybe some other media guys or some other NBA pundits are not sold on him transitioning into a great NBA player, or worst case scenario, being a very good defensive player. If that makes sense to you guys. I mean, he's young. You got to look the part. You got to act the part. You got to play the part. Again, I look at players that can you transcend the sport? Are you a transcendent player? And by definition is, are you a player that is not only going to put up monster numbers, you're going to be successful on and off the floor, and you're going to be a winner. And you're going to help your franchise go to the next level. And if you can't do that, then in my book, you're not the next face of anything. You're just another run-of-the-mill player. So I don't look at it as, it's a one-hit wonder. I don't believe that to be the case. I think the NBA and baseball, we know. I mean, we know there's 2 or 3 players in the sport of baseball where they have international appeal. Ohtani. I mean, you say the name Shohei Ohtani, everyone knows. Everyone knows. Aaron Judge. Years ago it was Mike Trout because everyone was saying he's a generational player. He's 5-year. You're talking about the faces of the sport. There's a handful. In football, it's always going to be the quarterback because the quarterback is the franchise leader. The quarterback, by definition, in the NFL is the face of the franchise. You seldom hear the running back is the face of the franchise. Maybe that's the personality of the franchise. But if you go up and down, Burrow, Jackson, Mahomes, Hurts, Goff, Stafford, Daniel. I mean, you're talking all quarterbacks. Herbert, Knicks, all quarterbacks. You're the quarterback of a starting NFL team. You are, by definition, by default, the face of the franchise. No questions asked. No questions asked. It's not even debatable. It's not even debatable. You are the face of the franchise. In baseball, more times than not, to be a face of the sport, it's a handful of players. It's 2, 3, 4 players, and that's it. Hockey is hockey, and I'm not trying to take anything away from hockey because there are some very good young players in hockey that we've seen come through the ranks that are faces of franchises. We know that. But in the NBA, because it has such global appeal and markability, I believe the NBA is trying to push the next great player, the face of the NBA. And if they push too hard, they're going to get egg on their face because you can't, as some of you guys already pointed, Sarge chiming in Q, you can't Christian guys just yet. They need to play it out a little bit. As you say, some of these players have had a cup of coffee in the league. Correct. The league is always going to have their vets. They're always going to have their heading towards the Hall of Fame type of players. We know players are getting older. But if you just look, even from a scoring standpoint in the league this year, I mean, think about this. Giannis is a veteran. He's getting up there, but he averaged 33. Luka's getting up there, but he averaged 30. Jalen Brunson, relatively young, 27. Donovan Mitchell getting up there. What was it, 28? SGA, young player, 29. And I would say out of all of them, I would think the NBA is trying to push a guy like SGA, 26-year-old, budding star. I mean, he put up gaudy numbers his third season. It's crazy when you think about it. This kid was on the Clippers. I mean, think about that. This kid's on the Clippers, and he's now just blossomed over the last 3 or 4 years with OKC, and he averages 32, and he wins an MVP. It just shows you where we're at right now. Really? It just shows you where we are at in the league. In the league. Vince, speaking of QBs, you think my quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, can make a bounce back this year on paper? They're loaded with talent. First of all, that's an unacceptable take. I'm going to tell you why. And you can't follow up with the hashtag Duval. You can't do that because everyone knows this is unbelievable. I mean, where's the madman? Where's Trevor? Where's Joey? Where are these guys today where I need them? We know. We all know you're not a Jags fan. You're still waiting to see what your Steelers are going to do. So get out of here with that nonsense. Get out of there. Go away. Trevor Lawrence, I would like to see Trevor Lawrence become the quarterback we think he is. And I know there are a lot of people that feel that Trevor Lawrence, not to kind of flip-flop, we'll get into a little NFL in a couple moments, but just kind of answer the question, Trevor Lawrence has been a little banged up. That offensive line, it was a little iffy. I even said when they drafted Trevor Lawrence not to draft a running back. They should have fixed the offensive line. Trevor Lawrence is going to be his 5th year. So it's like, are we looking at Trevor Lawrence that threw for 4,000 yards and 25, 26 touchdowns, 7 or 8 picks year number 2, or an average Trevor Lawrence in year number 3, or a down year number 4? I've always liked Trevor Lawrence. He's got a strong arm. He's a mobile quarterback. The offensive line, even though he got banged up last season, they did a much better job of protecting him. I think that division is very soft. I think that division is very weak. So if you're asking me, can he put up some good numbers? And is it possible for Jacksonville to win that division? Yeah. Absolutely. 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 Speaking of the NFL, I don't know if you guys saw this. What are we at? 420. We'll switch gears for a couple minutes. I'm going to give you my predictions on Game 4. But did you see that? And I want to pull this up because I was looking at it when I was doing a little prep work. That Hassan Reddick is already looking for a new contract. He's already looking for a new contract. I feel as though ever since he's left, what was it, the Jets, or he went to the Jets? So he skips, here you go. He skips Tampa's OTAs. Day one. I mean, he is your big free agent signing. And he wanted that contract. He had a nice little run with the Eagles, and he wasn't going to get paid. And think about this. When we question a franchise's their moves or their lack of, they know better than we do. Just because the player might go somewhere else and tear it up, they know at the end of the day better than we do. And this kind of just reaffirms, if you're an Eagles fan, kind of reaffirms, your belief, like why you weren't going to pay this guy. I mean, you go back to 2023 and the Eagles had all these changes, right? So they traded Reddick to the Jets. They got a 2026 third round pick. Reddick was looking for a new contract. He was entering the final year of his deal. The Eagles did not want to go down that route. And then here you go, right? And a lot of people question that move. I can't believe it. Here you go, 2 seasons. He played really well. He was just, unbelievable in that defensive scheme, getting all these sacks. He's an all-pro. You got to pay him. You got to pay him. You got to pay him. Well, at this point, Eagles look like geniuses because history appears to be repeating itself. I mean, how do you're absent from workouts. You sign a 1-year deal in the offseason, and that's just, I mean, this is Todd Bowles today when asked by the media via JoeBucksFan.com. That's a hell of a site. When Reddick would show up, he said, quote, "I'm sure one of these days we'll see him." That's not reaffirming. That's not reassuring, is it? I mean, look, he was a beast 2022, 2023 with the Philadelphia Eagles, 87 tackles, 27 sacks. He made the Pro Bowl in both years. He was an AP second team All-Pro selection, 16 sacks in 2022. And now all of a sudden, now you understand why Howie didn't want to pay this guy. You understand why he didn't want to pay this guy at all. So what are you going to do? All right, 425. We are going to take a quick time out. Do not go anywhere. We are going to come back on the other side. We'll talk a little more NFL. I will give you my thoughts on game 4 tonight for the Knicks. I'll also give you my little trifecta, Q-fecta of picks as well. Keep it locked in on a Tuesday edition. Middays with Q. It's 421 on the East Coast, 121 on the West Coast. Appreciate everyone listening out in Cali, in San Diego and LA. I'm getting some good messages. We'll get to them as well. We'll rip through them. You can hashtag, again, MWQ, Middays with Q, quick timeout. We will certainly come back on the other side, so keep it locked in. All right, welcome back, everyone, inside the friendly confines of the Tri-X 57 studios on this Tuesday edition, Middays with Q, on this 27th of May, 2025. It's sitting right around 425. We'll get to some NFL in a moment. I want to rip off some of these comments and also some of these text tweets, I should say. You guys are hitting me up on Facebook as well as on X. And again, that's Rich Q, at Rich Q on Q. Very easy to get into. All right, a couple of NBA fans want to chime in. Matty G in Delaware, as always, listening in. We always appreciate that, Matt. Q, you sound a little bit nervous tonight about your Knicks. Not only seems though you don't think they're going to win, you're trying to convince yourself they are going to win. Ha, ha, ha. What do you think? Should I take New York and the points? I'm not. I mean, listen, Indiana is a very good team. It would be foolish of me to sit here and tell you that the Knicks are going to win this game easily. I mean, it's a 2.5 point spread. Indiana's at home. I know they haven't played particularly well at home in the playoffs. I know the Knicks are a better road team than inside MSG, but if Brunson and Cat stay out of foul trouble and they win the battle of the boards and they can slow down Siakam, look, and we don't know, Indiana's got some injuries, right? We still don't know what's going to happen with Neesmith. I mean, right now, he's likely a game time decision for game 4. That's an ankle injury. You roll up on your foot like that, that's a painful proposition. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Do I like the Knicks to win tonight? I think the Knicks are going to have a very spirited game. If they win, obviously you want to take the points. 100%. I mean, why wouldn't you? It would be crazy to think. It would be crazy to think otherwise. It's going to be a hard game, man. These are the playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals. A lot is on the line. A lot's on the line. But I'm not gonna. There are no gimmies. There are no guarantees. I mean, their season was done. I felt they were done. Game 1. I mean, that ball, the way it just bounced around, and then you lose game 2. You had to, exert yourself and use a lot of energy. Then you got to scratch and claw and come back from 20 down. from 20 down, right? And all of a sudden you're starting to think to go New York, go New York, go Chance, right in the back of your mind if you're a Knicks fan. And they came back and they played well in that game. That was a gut check win. That was a gut check win, and they saved their season. Now you have to win tonight or it's moot. You have to win tonight or it's a moot point, period. And yes, I believe they have a legit shot at winning tonight. You want to sit there and say, okay, here you go. Fandom at its best, whatever. Soda P on X chimes in. Q, enjoying your show, but come on. Knicks are such historic losers. You all think that's a huge win. Celebrations was premature. I mean, listen, that was a big win. That was a big win. And I just don't know why. You would think otherwise. Johnny X on Twitter chimes in. Q, last week, correct me if I'm wrong, did you not call for Tibbs' head after the game one debacle? I did. Yeah, you can call me out. You can call me out on that. I thought if they lost that series and got swept, then yes, you could have argued that Thibodeau needed to go. And Thibodeau pushed the right buttons for game 3. I know you will hear a lot of people say that you don't need coaching. You don't need coaching in the NBA. I'm not one of those people. I believe you have to coach in the NBA. I believe you also have to know when to burn through timeouts, when to not take timeouts, when to push the right buttons. So again, I hear what you're saying, John, and I'll take the brunt of that. B chimes in. Q, it's ridiculous. I mean, think about this. You're calling for a coaching change, a game into a friggin' Eastern Conference Finals. This guy is very, very much underappreciated. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you while the Eastern Conference Finals are going on, start to look at another. I'm not going to say that. What I said was, if they got swept after blowing a 20-point lead in game one and got swept and looked lethargic and showed you nothing, then yeah, you can question this guy. D on Twitter chimes in. Q, people are saying the Knicks are fatigued, and the same people, IAU, claiming that maybe they're banged up by the All-Star break because they ran into too many minutes. That's because of the coach. I hate to break to you, but the most conditioned and most fresh team in the playoffs, usually the ones that win. Yeah, but I don't really understand what you're saying. Like I've gotten on Thibodeau because he hasn't gone to the bench. And I know Tibbs is a guy that's going to run players in the ground. But I also, again, full transparency, to be fair, I felt he waited too long to put Brunson back in the game 3, but it worked out for him. I'm not trying to have it both ways. I'm not trying to have it both ways. I'm not trying to play it both ways. I'm just not. I think he's a good coach, but I am still not entirely sold. And I hope they get to the NBA Finals. He wins a championship. That's great, because that's how you shut a guy up like me. So there you have it. What do we got there? Kevin C. in Summers Point chiming in. Q, you know this as well as I do. The Knicks are going to fall behind probably by 15, make a run, and then lose it late. Take the Pacers and the points. See, that's bad juju. We don't want that. I don't want that on the show. I don't even know why I just read your comment. We don't want that on the show. That is a bad job all around. All right, a couple minutes before we get out of here. So I do want to, as far as, I'll give you my Q-Factor picks. They're brought to you by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. NBA Eastern Conference Finals, Game 4, Knicks plus 2.5. I believe the Knicks are going to give a spirit of effort. I believe the Knicks are going to keep this game close. I think it could be a 1 to 2 possession game late. I think foul shots are going to be very critical in this game as well. And I'm going to say Brunson goes for 38 tonight. I think Jalen Brunson goes for 38 tonight. So if you're looking for some player props in game 4, let me give you one. What do we got here? Let's go with, and I think Towns hits plus 2.5 threes. So, wow, Towns 1.5 assists is plus 110. You saw him actually feed it into the low block the other night. Halliburton under 21. Siakam over 29. I think they shut down. I don't. That's a lot of points, man. If Siakam goes for 30 plus, that means Halliburton really couldn't carry them. Under 21 points. I mean, look, right now, this series is basically you're looking at one play, the choke sign, the three, that was really the two in overtime, down 20 or down 17, 14, 9 late, and Indiana wins. Right now, he's averaging about 18. So even though he's perceived as their best player, they're not really relying on just one player. And I think they spread the ball around a lot better than the Knicks do as far as the ISO. I would play the under on that one. Bobby D chimes in on XQ. Carl Anthony Towns over 1.5 assists. Did you say it was a plus 110? My ears are perked up. Yeah, that's not saying much. Now, he's recorded at least 2 assists in 10 of his last 17 road games against teams ranked in the middle third in the NBA in team defense. And the Pacers are right around 15, 16, 17. So as we like to say on the air, do as you wish with that information. But so for my Qfected today, I've got the Knicks plus 2.5. I've got the WNBA. I've got the Sun. We have a little burst. We're 3-1 on our last WNBA plays. Sun plus 4.5 versus the Wings. And then the Dodgers on the money line tonight. The Dodgers minus 125 money line versus Cleveland. We'll get to a little more baseball later on the week. We might talk some more baseball tomorrow because there are some really good storylines that are going on in baseball that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to. I mean, we mentioned the other day how bad the Colorado Rockies are, but the Philadelphia Phillies might have a early Cy Young candidate, and no one's really talking about that. Quietly, quietly, quietly. Look, the Phillies, I know their offense, it's frustrating at times. It really is. But if you look at their pitching and if you look at the type of season that Luzardo is having, Jesus Luzardo, you can make a case right now. He is the best pitcher in the NFL. RA is right around 2.12. He's logging a lot of innings. Beat big time by the home run ball. He's pitched really well. Now, he's had a little bit of a stretch where no decision, and that's pretty much because the offense really didn't carry them, but he's given them 5-6. He's coming off that game against the A's where he went 7 innings. He got the no decision in the loss, but that is an early dark horse candidate for NL MVP. Obviously, we kind of know we play it, right? If I say it, we play it. And then we back it and we stack it. You know how we do it on the show. We do that on middays as well. But I like that play tonight. I've been looking at some of these lines in the WNBA, and there's some pretty good player props, and you can get some good early lines and some good action on the WNBA. You got to catch these games while the season's pretty early because some of these teams are getting blown out that are pretty bad. The Sky's had some early issues this year. The Suns 0-4, the Wings are 0-4. Someone's got to give tonight. The Liberty looks good through 3 or 4 games. I think they're undefeated. The Lynx as well. So there's some good lines, and you can put some money in the pocket in that regard. Baseball is a little different animal. As I mentioned, we'll get into that a lot more tomorrow on the air. But for tonight, I do like the Knicks on the road. I believe Brunson will go for 35, 36 points. And as long as he stays out of foul trouble, that's another thing. You're going to have to watch to see how these referees are dictating the action early on. Yeah, to see exactly what these referees are doing with the basketball, and that drives me absolutely crazy. Like it's the Eastern Conference Finals. Let these guys play. Let these guys play. I don't know why they have to be so whistle happy all the time. I'm not complaining because sometimes the call, I mean, that Halliburton last play in game one, he traveled. Go slow it down and watch. He literally, he walked or double dribbled, I think it was. But it's been a good series thus far. And I think the Knicks are underdogs. I'm backing them to cover. I believe they win the game outright. It doesn't. They did it without Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson did not play particularly well. Jalen Brunson shot 6 of 18 from the field. He had a playoff low 31 minutes. He was in foul trouble. He had horrible turnovers. I don't believe you're going to see that same recipe tonight for game 4. I don't. I think this is a good bet and a good opportunity right now for the Knicks, whether it's a 2.5, 3-point number. And if you want a nugget that you hang your hat on, Indiana at times they live and die by the 3. They live and die by the 3, sometimes worse than the Knicks do. I mean, Boston was just chucking it up when they were up by 15, 20 points, which was ludicrous. The Pacers were just 5 of 25 on 3-point attempts. So for just the second time in the postseason, we're talking 13 games, Indiana shot worse than their opponent from beyond the arc. The last time that happened was in the first round of game 3 against the Bucks, and they lost that game, if you remember. They lost that game. And again, they're not the best 3-point shooting team in the league. If you look at the league average, but if you're around 38, 40 plus, 42% clip, it's pretty good. Nesmith was unreal in game 1, but he's banged up. He was 8 of 9 from beyond the arc, and he was single-handedly crushing the Knicks, but he turned his ankle. Siakam was really good in game 3, and he had 39 points, and he was 3 and 5. I'm sorry, in game 2. But in game 3, he only misses 1 shot. So that's a sample size I'm giving you, but I think that's enough where you like the Knicks, and the perimeter defense has to be there, contest the shots. And they were juggling a lineup, Robinson, Hart, and as I mentioned, Thibodeau, to your point, John and Matt before, and Kevin, getting on me talking about Thibodeau, I gave Thibodeau credit when we came on the air to start because he juggled the lineup, and then he went to Deion Wright and he went to Landry Shamet. They did not give great offensive production, but you know what? They gave the Knicks significant minutes off the bench. I mean, those guys only work up a sweat when there's blowouts. So I thought in that aspect, in that regard, A+ Thibodeau, because you got some of these other guys in foul trouble early, so you had to go deep into the bench. It's one of the reasons I like the Knicks tonight. It's one of the reasons I like them. All right, don't forget, as always, you can follow along on social media on X and IG at RichQ on Q. Tomorrow, we will be back in the saddle live from 4 to 6. We will recap game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We will look ahead to a game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. The series shifts back to OKC. See if the Thunder, big number right now. I think it sits at 8.5, 9. If they close out the T-Wolves, we'll get into some more baseball, some more NFL. Let me get you caught up to speed as far as Major League Baseball, anything that stands out tonight. Nice little night on the Diamond. Diamondback. They are hosting the Pirates. The Marlins have played pretty well through 50-something odd games, to be fair. San Diego's still trying to find their footing. Yankees, 8 of 10. They won. Nice little run coming up. They're looking to take the second of that 3-game set against the Angels. Judge has just been absolutely fantastic. He's been on fire. Orioles, I would say right now, if you're talking about a team that's very disappointing, early start in the baseball season coming out of the AL East, it's got to be Baltimore. They're 19-34. The Dodgers still look to be a juggernaut. I gave you them as a play tonight over the Guardians. That number's dropped a little bit. 133, 130, it was 128. Now it's back up to 130 money line. So I do like the Dodgers tonight. May's going to be on the hill. That actually might be a high scoring affair. The Phillies get the Braves. And I talked a little bit about the Phillies. They had a great run. I mean, this is why if you bet on baseball, once a team wins a game or two in a row, two wins in a row, three in a row, you start leaning them and you just basically shoulder that winning streak. So you look what the Phillies have done. How many games did they win in a row before the Athletics snapped that slide? What was it? Their win streak was 11. No, I'm sorry. How many games did they win? Would they win 9 games in a row? 8 games in a row? Phillies won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 games in a row. And 11 of 12. Plus, they had that postponement against the Cardinals. And then before that, 13 out of 15. So they've been on a run. So you can't just all of a sudden jump back up on the Phillies right now because they lost. You got to catch them while we see these runs going on in real time, so to speak. All right. Lastly, let me get a couple more comments in here. Monday Marcus on a Tuesday. Chiming in Q, good hoops talk tonight. I agree. I think the Knicks are going to cover. I think the Knicks are going to win by at least 10 points tonight. I'm going to play a little bit. I'll sprinkle on Brunson plus 30. That's not a bad play. I think it might be a little higher, Marcus. And I know he asked an NFL question. NFL wise, Q, when do you think you're going to start breaking down the training camps and a lot of these off-season moves? I know you always do the divisions with Lloyd Vance. Yeah, we're going to start doing that as well. We'll start breaking that down on a Monday and a Wednesday, Friday. We'll start doing that with Lloyd Vance because we typically do that with the training camps, the storylines, and things to watch as well. And that should be fun. All right, let's see what we got here. Joey B. Q. In 720i, yeah, letterbox mode. Yeah, usually the show is in full screen mode. All good, can still watch and listen just fine. Joey, I appreciate that. I also felt too, I think you guys, were a little hard on the Death Star mic the other day. And I think what happened was, and we should be in 720, or did we go 1080? You know what, Joey? That's fine. We go 720, 1080, 220, 221, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. I can pull it up to 1080. That's fine. But what I was going to say is, the other day, the Death Star mic was just getting hammered. It was just getting hammered. And there was bad juju that came in late. That's the problem. There was bad juju that came in late during the show. And I think what happened was I had to fight through that bad juju. And that bad juju occurred on a game 2. And the Knicks lost game 2. And I promised myself today I was not going to allow. There we go. The test YouTube vid you posted earlier with the Death Star mic epic. Yeah, so I'm testing out the audio, and all I hear is I'm like test, and I got everyone kind of commenting in. You're good. We hear you. Yeah, I mean the Death Star mic is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Studio mic, Tri-X 57, that's Tuesday and Thursday, Joey. So we got you covered in that regard. But there was bad juju to end the show. There was bad juju to end the show, and that's what I had a problem with. And we're not going to allow that today. The Knicks on the road cover, win outright, and all of a sudden we've got a series, and I can come back on the air tomorrow and a little go New York, go New York. Go. I panicked, but now I'm okay. I learned the error of my ways. The Knicks will win tonight. It'll be 2-2. We'll recap it tomorrow. We'll preview game 5, a closeout opportunity for OKC. NFL talk. Baseball talk. I'll also give you again my 3-pack, my Q-fecta as well. Appreciate everyone keeping us locked into a Tuesday edition of Middays with Q. Tomorrow on a Wednesday, 4 to 6 live, 2 hours to play with in the studios as well. We are powered by our good friends over at Tri-X 57. And of course, our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Don't forget, show notes, check below, 20% off your first purchase when we talk our gambling, BYP20. Everyone have a good sports Tuesday. Enjoy the baseball, enjoy the NBA tonight, enjoy the WNBA as well. I do believe you got one playoff game tonight in hockey, right? Edmonton can close it out against the Stars tonight. So you got one tonight, and then you got Florida with an opportunity to close it out against the Hurricanes on a Wednesday. So busy show tomorrow. Appreciate everyone. Don't forget at QONQXIG, like, comment, sub to the YouTube channel. Always appreciate my good friends over here inside the friendly confines of Tri-X 57. Like them on Facebook. Check out the website. A lot of content, a lot of local news, weather, and of course, we're adding and providing a little sports commentary to the mix as well. Have a good sports Tuesday. Be safe, be sound. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, buen día.